When Sinn Féin finds itself in a crisis because of past IRA actions, commentators often predict it will weaken the party. And every time it and its voters confound the predictions of electoral damage. So is the case of Maíria Cahill different? Her public challenge to Sinn Féin in the wake of last week's Spotlight investigation has kept the party in the eye of the storm. Just before we came on air tonight, I spoke to Sinn Féin's Carál Ní Chuilín about the allegations of abuse and cover-up that have gripped politics north and south.
If what Maíria is saying in terms of the IRA investigating her allegations of rape, that the IRA investigated the case, it shouldn't have happened. The people who should be investigating allegations of rape and sexual abuse are the police, or agencies associated with the police, and in the case then it would have been social services who should have facilitated this.
Do we not need to know categorically if what Maíria Cahill is alleging is the full truth? Wouldn't you want to know that?
Well, what I would like to know is that, and what I think people would like to know from me is if what Maíria Cahill is saying is the case, was it appropriate? I'm saying it wasn't. Was it wrong that it happened? It is absolutely wrong that it happened. And I can't be any clearer than that.
Charlie Flanagan says there needs to be further public examination and investigation, and he tells me that in an interview on tonight's programme. He says the gaps in the story need to be filled in. Are you saying you're happy for those further investigations to take place?
Absolutely.
So what's your message to Republicans then? That they should fully cooperate with any public investigation?
Absolutely.
No stone should be left unturned?
No equivocation. There should be full cooperation.
Charlie Flanagan says this issue is not being used as a political football, because that was a line that Sinn Féin was using in the past few days. You felt that your political opponents, particularly in the south, were taking advantage of the situation. He's described this as a disturbing and horrific case. He says Republicans need to explain exactly what happened. You don't disagree with him then? Well,
I do think there was a trial. There was a trial that people were acquitted from. I believe subsequently there's almost been a second trial in the media. I mean, that is, it's not just me saying because I'm a member of Sinn Féin, but Charlie Flanagan, Carál Ní Chuilín, anyone else, if we have any information that is helpful to this case or any other case, he's right in saying it should be brought forward to appropriate authorities.
Are you concerned as a leading Republican woman that Maíria Cahill could be telling the full truth, and the Republican movement that you are so publicly committed to didn't in fact act as honourably as you might have wanted to believe? What are the implications of that for you if it's true?
Well, I'm around long enough to know that in the past, because of the impact of the conflict, and because of the relationship that people had and the mistrust of the state and any agency attached to the state, that Republicans often were approached by people who were seeking justice, and on many occasions we were the wrong people to go to. Wrong people to go to, because the Republican movement isn't and never was really equipped to deal with allegations around rape or sexual abuse, or other allegations for that matter.
But at that time, just to be clear, in 1997 and before, you were not in the Republican movement encouraging people who wanted to make those allegations to go to the police. You would not have supported that. You didn't support policing in Northern Ireland at that stage.
No, I didn't, absolutely. But I would have encouraged them to go to a counsellor or go to social services. Absolutely.
And you didn't, or you wouldn't have encouraged them to go to the IRA directly?
Absolutely not, no.
So how did the IRA find itself in a situation of investigating a case like this?
Well, and that is the situation that people found themselves in. They went to the IRA for justice on a number of issues, and the IRA weren't equipped to deal with this. I mean, in fact, how the IRA dealt with this is public knowledge. For people who wanted justice around abuse, the IRA exiled people. They expelled people from the organisation, and on occasions they actually shot people.
Yeah, all of which was wrong.
All of which was wrong, and actually failed people who were seeking justice in terms of abuse.
Because you would want to be careful, presumably, that you wouldn't be suggesting that the IRA was the victim in this, that it wasn't equipped and it was put upon in circumstances beyond its own control. The victim in this was Maíria Cahill.
Absolutely, and I think that's a bit crass, Mark.
Well, I'm just asking you to clarify.
No, I think I've been
because
very
she was
clear.
brought there under duress night after night and interrogated in a very hostile way. That's her story.
That is her story. And if that happened, that is totally wrong and inappropriate.
Gerry Adams apologised in the Dáil yesterday. He stood up and he said he was sorry to all those individuals who had been abused by Republicans in the past. Now, Maíria Cahill says she wants a personal apology from Gerry Adams. Is she entitled to a personal apology?
I believe when Gerry made that apology yesterday, he was speaking to Maíria. If Maíria wants a personal apology, I think the best way for Maíria to receive that apology in a genuine way is to sit down with Gerry and do a meeting.
It's a difficult time for Republicans, isn't it? This could potentially be very damaging to Sinn Féin. Are you prepared for that?
Well, I'm prepared for the fact that things happened in the case of Maíria, in Maria's case, that certainly aren't proud. I mean, the allegations that Maíria is making aren't good, far from good. But I also understand that these are very, very sensitive and complex issues. I also understand the times that we were living in, and I'm glad that we're past it. I'm glad that we're responsible for institutions that actually help people receive justice, receive support, and above all else, receive accountability.
Yeah, but the use of the phrase "the times we were living in" is an explanation, not an excuse.
Absolutely. I'm not excusing it at all.
And if this is damaging to the Republican movement in the eyes of your electorate, do you just have to accept that? Because you've just said to me this evening, this cannot be swept under the carpet.
And I don't think anyone has said in recent days that it should be swept under the carpet.
But as we speak this evening, Carál Ní Chuilín, you are happy for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to be put in the public domain, however damaging that is for Sinn Féin.
Absolutely.